Tracy Amigos, former football coaches turned insurance agents to talk about Texas Aggie football.
All right, guys, welcome to Trace Amigos, episode 25.5, and I have never been so happy to eat crow in my life. I will gladly admit that I picked wrong. I was wrong. As you get older, it becomes easier to admit when you're wrong. And I also want to say that, Mark, you're my favorite Trace Amigo because Seth has moved down the list after me and you had to stay here in the heat of East Texas while Seth got to go up there and go to a game at Wrigley Field. If that's not a big enough high, they're going to play the War Hymn at Wrigley Field while he's watching the game, and he got to go to the game. So, me and you are not nearly as cool as Seth, obviously. Very jealous of that trip, the whole thing. But no, glad to be on here. Glad we got the win. Mark, what do you got to say going into it, boss?
Yeah, well, it's a great week. Me, I'm a defensive guy, so obviously winning is the number one thing, but also playing a little bit better would have been a lot more fun. And, the way defensive coaches look at it is they fumbled a snap, and we ended up winning, but we didn't do our job we should have got the stop and then go down and kick a field goal and win it at the buzzer. But no, it's a great win. That's a hard place to play and a hard place to win. I almost just turned the lights out in my office today and told y'all that a guy from South Bend installed new lights because their lights still suck. That's amazing. I don't
It
understand
is
that.
amazing. Yeah, it is.
I mean, they have money. I mean, they got gold in their helmets, but they can't afford lights. But no, great win. Obviously, I need to sell some insurance this week so that I can afford to do the things that Seth Drennan does. He's my hero.
No doubt. No
No, big
doubt.
win. Um, there's no negative when you beat Notre Dame. It's always good. And
Yeah.
I just want to say that I'm really mad at the broadcast people because they were showing history of Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and they showed the two Cotton Bowls in the '90s when Notre Dame beat them, with Jerome Bettis, and then in the next year when they beat us 24-21. But they did not show the '88 Cotton Bowl where we spanked
Yeah, I
their
noticed that.
butts with Tim Brown, the
Yeah.
Heisman.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
noticed that too.
good point. I
Well,
didn't think about that.
Seth, without rubbing some salt in our wounds, go ahead and
Yeah.
introduce yourself. Tell us about.
Well, my name is Seth, and yes, I made the trip, planned the trip a long time ago. I'm also the same guy who thinks we shouldn't have played that game, and I still think that. But that doesn't mean I won't go enjoy it. If you can't separate the logic behind not playing that game versus enjoying the actual game, then I don't know, you're just not wired for college football. Like some people are. But yeah, so I have to say, like, yes, the campus was beautiful. The Wrigley game was magical. It's like 77 degrees. We were in the shade. Buddy of mine hooked us up with some really good tickets. Aggies everywhere. Talked to many different Aggies. Talked to Brandon Leone waiting in line for the bathroom. It was just crazy. Aggies everywhere. The campus in Notre Dame is gorgeous. I'm a big fan of the campus. A beautiful church on campus. The grotto was amazing. Very cool place. The history around that stadium just insane. You're sitting there. So they've basically, the old stadium is still there, and they have just built out and up off of it. And so when you go into the concourse, the original brick from the original stadium is like the interior wall of the concourse. So it's really neat how they left it that way. The seating is still old school though. I mean, it is that stadium seats 80,000 people, and it probably takes up about half of what Kyle Field does. So do the math on that. When I got to my spot at about 6:30, I did not leave till we left, till the game was over. I didn't go to the bathroom once. I didn't get a drink, nothing. I was like, this is too difficult to get in and out of. But I will say that's the most cathartic Aggie sports event of my life, probably because of the build up to it. I did go to Omaha a couple of years ago, and that was all just completely ripped apart. We couldn't even celebrate how successful that season was because of the events that took place 48 hours after the Omaha loss to Tennessee. The last road trip I made was Tuscaloosa in 2022 when the fourth down end zone fade did not work out with Haynes King and Evan Stewart. We've been seeing the nonstop stuff on Twitter about A&M hasn't run a true road game versus ranked opponent since 2014. And if you kept digging to find an equivalent game that the Notre Dame game was, it was actually 1979 since A&M had won a game like this Notre Dame game was. And so I was so sick of seeing that, as most Aggies are. So the catharsis of ripping that off, because there's this account on Twitter. It drives me nuts. And I hope he sees this, and I hope he blocks me. I don't care. The SEC numbers guy, the cat's out of the bag, buddy. It's just a horn. Matter of fact, I think I know who it is. But he tries to be this SEC stats guy, and every month he had been tweeting for the last 6 months about these road win, like not having a road victory of any kind of magnitude. And he always uses what he thinks is like a derogatory picture. Only SEC school that gets treated this way. So that's why when I tell y'all to embrace being the villain, you know what? I wish they'd have only done more Irish dancing at the end. That's my only regret about the Irish dancing. I wish they'd done more. I wish more players had been involved. Okay? Make them hate us. They already do anyway. Who cares? All right? People say, act like you've been there before. We ain't been there before. It's been 50 years. Okay?
It's been a while.
Yeah. So I will tell a funny story real quick. I had a conundrum, guys. We use Southwest Airlines. My wife I have companion pass, which if you understand how that works, that means your wife flies free basically, because I do credit card point stuff. And we're boarding the flight on Thursday. We had some issues with her companion pass. I'd had to call Southwest. We had to talk to the front desk. Everything was worked out. She's got her boarding pass printed. I got mine printed. I get on first. She's going to be coming on about 20 behind me. Okay. I get on the plane. I go to get the seat. And all of a sudden, my phone starts ringing about a minute into it. And she's telling me, when they scanned my boarding pass, it popped up the red X again. And it won't let me on the plane. And I was like, oh, goodness. So she's like, they said, can you send the confirmation email that you got? So I was like, yeah, let me hang up so I can do that fast. So I send her the confirmation email, call her back, and get on listening to the conversation. And they're digging, trying to figure out what it is the whole time. If y'all know how Southwest flights, people are screaming on. I'm like, I'm about to have to fight somebody to keep this seat safe for her. And then my brain starts going, Seth, if your wife can't get on this plane, what do? Do you get off of it, or do you just stay on?
Go to South End.
Hey, if y'all watch Everybody Loves Raymond, there's one episode where she doesn't get ready in time, and he decides he's going to leave her at home, and he gets to this party or whatever it is, and the guys are like, "Where's your wife?" Oh, she wasn't ready, so I left her. And those guys are like, "Oh my gosh, that is the most daring and dumb thing you could ever do."
Yeah. So luckily she got on. It was a little later than usual. Got to say everything worked out just fine. But for about the 90 seconds. Or maybe 2 minutes of lull between the in between, my brain was already going, do I get off this flight, or do I stay on? Do I get off this flight, or do I stay on? What do I do if she can't get on the flight? So anyway, and by the way, we had to move the podcast back because I couldn't talk. I couldn't talk on Sunday or Monday. He was gone. And I actually did have a tiny little sports cry for about 2 seconds after the game ended. So I'm not afraid to admit it. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry about that, mate.
I was just going to say that if I would have been getting on a plane to go watch a game at South Bend with the Ags and my wife couldn't get on, my soundtrack in my head that plays, you have your own soundtrack. It would have been playing Off We Go into the Wild Blue Yonder. I mean, I wouldn't have blinked. I mean, she can drive.
Hey, Seth, this is the same guy that wouldn't even nominate his wife for an award. So, Tiffany is a saint. Tiffany is a saint. So, anyway, all right. So, let's get into the good, bad, and ugly. The good, obviously, we had 500 yards offense, or 488 to be precise. We put up 41 points against a defense that was thought to be really, really good. And I think they are good. It's not that I don't think they're good. I just think we're really good on offense. We are so freaking multiple. I think I've talked about it before. That was the huge advantage coaching in Carthage. That's still the same thing Scott has today. Is he's got athletes, he's got all that, but he is so multiple. If you're a defensive guy going against him, you're like, I don't have time to prepare for all these formations and all these personnel groups and all this. And that's where we're at. I mean, we're running 11 personnel, 10 personnel, 12 personnel, 13 personnel. We're running 21 personnel. We're running 20 personnel. And so it's ridiculous the amount of personnel that we're able to use because we finally have some playmakers. I was so ecstatic when I saw us run the 2-back stuff. Our I know we've got the receivers. Obviously, you see what they did, but we've got running backs, and we went to some 2-back personnel that puts a defense in a bind, especially when they're both as good as Moss and Owens are. We ran them on back-to-back plays, and it was great how the OC set these plays up. So this will replay hopefully, but we
Yeah,
ran a quarter. We faked jet here and then ran quarterback counter the other way. Great hole, great blocked it well, did everything. The very next play, if you'll go to that, we give the same look. Okay, and we don't pull, or we pull the guard to give that same look like we're going to give on the counter, and we're able to run Owens up that seam. I mean, look at those linebackers. They're stepping up like a center fielder coming after a fly ball going after their head and yelling, "Oh crap!" It was just, I love the design. I love the pressure it puts on the defense. It's hard. It's hard for a defense to be prepared when you're running all these different formations and all these different variances at you. So that's the good. But my favorite part is an old wide receivers coach, and everybody wants to talk about KC as a receiver and catching the ball and all his athleticism. Look at, he blocked this dude. He is stuck on him like white on rice. I mean, he is driving him through the back of the end zone and gets the kid so upset that he rips off KC's helmet there, and we get a penalty off of it. When you've got wide receivers that are doing that, he knows he's not getting the ball. This isn't an RPO. This isn't something that he even has a chance to get a ball on. And that's the guy that we went and spent a bunch of money in the NIL and all this. You think he's coming in here wanting to he wants to play in the NFL. But that right there, that shows the culture and what they've got going on down there. And if I'm a NFL coach, I'm watching that, and that impresses me more than some of the catches I've seen him make, and the catches are unbelievable too. But man, I love everything we got going on offensively, and we're going to be tough to prepare for the rest of the year. So that was my good. Seth, what do you got?
Yeah, I think we'll echo off of that too. That let's just talk about. I got to give my round of applause, or my good, the best good we've done since we started this podcast goes out to the coach Colin Klein. He's his innovative thinking and his lack of stubbornness, which does happen in the coaching world sometimes. His lack of stubbornness is truly remarkable. Last year he came in and our offense, I mean, I was a fan of his. Like, I hate to be that hipster guy. I went back and looked. I sent a message about Colin Klein in like November of 23, or whatever, whenever, right after Jimbo got fired, right after Elko got hired. I was like, if we can hire a guy, my number one pick is Klein. Been watching him at Kansas State for years. He's innovative. He fits, the offense to the personnel and vice versa. And anyway, his lack of stubbornness, because this offseason, even before the offseason got in here, but when the season ended to the bowl game, he started working on the offense. The bowl game offense didn't look the same as the rest. He started matching it to Marcel's abilities. He started trying to figure out a way to maximize, how we can use Marcel and the offense in general, space and all of that. And the narrative about him has always been this. It's been the passing game is no good, and his quarterback development is questionable. And I know that is a narrative that's out there in the recruiting world. That's a narrative out there that's one of the reasons why Riley flipped the quarterback commit last year. Well, I think all that stuff's going to get put to bed this year completely. And it's not because he just said, this is what I do from last year. He did a lot this offseason to change. I know he's been meeting. I mean, you can read the tea leaves here. Dave Clawson retires. Dave Clawson's doing interviews on Texags. Dave Clawson is Elko's almost like an uncle figure or a father figure type guy. Clawson you can see his DNA all of a sudden all over this offense. And then this is what I like about, when you watch a college football team, you want to watch a team full of dogs, and that's what we've got on offense. That clip you just showed about Concepcion, he is a dog like that. He's a 5'8" guy, 5'10", whatever. He's undersized. He's really fast. I'll give him that. That's his eck. But man, the way he plays the game he
competes, man.
Ultimate competitor. And Marcel Reed is a dog. Like, Marcel Reed has some limitations. His accuracy is not. Somebody says, I want my quarterback to be like a guy that starts at Tech. Accuracy was everything. I'm like, I think dog is everything. I'd put dog above accuracy if I was making my quarterback selection. Yes, I would love for Marcel to be a little more accurate, but that guy has led us to, I don't know the exact stat, and I don't care. I've watched with my own eyes. He has come in crunch time and led us on a touchdown drive, I think 5 times since since he took over as a starter. That's impressive. Like, I don't care what your physical tools and how you grade out. Like, he didn't even grade out very good in the Notre Dame game on a play-to-play basis. But that's a guy who wants the ball in his hands when the game is in crunch time, who has that demeanor that I'm going to go win this thing. Like that you can't put a grade on that. That's hard to put a grade on. And so, and that, you know what, if you go back and watch Kansas State in 2012 with Colin Klein as quarterback, that's what he was. Like he was a dog. Like he had a funky throwing motion. He wasn't the fastest guy on the field, but man, they won games. Like Kansas State was hard to beat when he was quarterbacking
Yep.
them. So it's really cool to see all that. And I love the fact that he's not stubborn. That's still go circle back to that. Like Clausen and Perry, they hire a wide receivers coach, a guy who's been around. Him and Elko go back 20 years, been around in the NFL, and you can see the passing game how much cleaner it is now. Yes, receivers make that look better too. Don't get me wrong, but the things we saw on film last year that have been cleaned up, the spacing issues, the 2 receivers running the same route, all that little stuff like that has been cleaned up. And the sail concept, that's my one clip to show, which has become a staple of the offense, which was a staple of Dave Clawson's offenses. Big catch here, not even the biggest one of the game, but that is a high-level throw in a really tough, like, Notre Dame called a really good defense for the sail concept right there. That's not ideal for a sail concept. And yet we talked about those window throws last week, right? And that's what we've got here. We've got a window throw that Mario realizes when he makes his cut on the sail route, there's a color out there. There's color out there, the other color. I can't just go run into that. So he settles. Marcel recognizes it, and like you'll see right here, like in this freeze frame, there's your window. Marcel throws it in the window, and he has to trust Mario is going to settle in that window. Man, that is not something that happens overnight. That is reps, reps, reps. And what we saw on film last week with the dig concept and the lack of settling from Bussy, and I said, this is going to get drilled in practice. I know it is. It did. I don't know if
that's why I was just about to say it's the same idea of what we were talking about last week, identifying man versus identifying zone, and both the quarterback and the receiver both have to identify that. It can't be one or the other, because if one or the other does there, then that turns into a pick. But because they both identified it, it was well executed there, no doubt.
And that little bitty in motion, they had Craver at the Z or off the line spot, and they motioned him into that stack look. That gives the receivers and the quarterback a pretty clear vision. What type of coverage are they in? And if you look at going back to that, the safety kept his eyes inside. They lined up like they were trying to bracket it, but the safety kept his eyes on the quarterback and pretty much told the story of zone or whatever, zone instead of man. And so, yeah, and that's what, like, that wide running back formation to me is so innovative because they went into the offseason and we always talked about the jet sweep, right? Like the jet sweep is a big deal, big part of his offense. And I know that come from Klein going, how do I get the jet sweep concepts but use my running backs to do it? Yeah, because we got a bunch of them. Like we got guys, we want the running backs doing that. Well, that's how you do it. That allows them to check it either direction. It still puts 3 receivers out that now have to be taken care of, and now they're a threat. So they're going to have to play a numbers game with that. And you've got the jet concepts, and then the interior run quarterback and the play action off. That's really good stuff. I mean, big time coaches, they call their best games in the biggest moments, and that's what we saw Klein do. It's anyway. I can just go on and on. About Colin Klein. I think we've got one of the best guys in the business as our OC, and I hope he stays here for at least another season. Because he's going to be
we need Kansas State to get. I need Kansas State to start winning a few ball games so that they don't call old boy home.
Absolutely.
Well, my bad is, and we've talked about it on here. I know Seth has went on about it quite a bit, but the 3 ball, which is your deep ball that you want to put some air underneath. He threw for 360. If he completes these 2 passes we're about to show, he probably throws for over 500. So the first one is down the goal line. We run a 9, which is a go route. He's open, and we just don't put enough air on it. If KC catches that safety's not catching him. He's going, 97, 98 yards, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it's just putting air in there. I mean, the boy, I mean, good grief, he's got an arm. I mean, he can
He
sling
does.
the fire out of it.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that's probably the hardest ball to develop. Like if you're good at
Mhm.
the ones and the two, that three, having that touch and trusting your guys, and so it's going to get better. I don't doubt it. But I mean, you got to find a bad. And then obviously the other one was Nye Black on the tight end, and
Yeah.
I love the motion. See, they pull him in and
Concept,
then pull him
man.
back out. Yeah. And he's open here. Just put it up underneath him,
Yeah.
and man. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there were some other plays I didn't want to pull up here. Night Black's going to be a problem. The farther we go
He's
into the
close, man.
season, and he's getting open, and other guys are open, and I get it. If I had KC and Mario, that's who I'd focus on too.
Yeah.
But the more they bracket them and the more they do stuff to take away those guys, the more that he's going to be utilized in the passing game. And I really think we get into SEC play, you're going to see some plays out of that kid. He's shown some flashes of some real speed and being able to get open. So, Seth, what was your bad for the?
Yeah, just exactly what you said. Just Marcel's. I mean, it's bad, but it's also unbelievable amount of scaling that can happen off of this because, the three ball, like we said, I jokingly said Marcel's throwing like a 2.4 ball. We need it to be about 2.7 or 8. I mean, it doesn't have to
Yeah,
necessarily be
yeah,
three.
just a little
Just a
air.
tiny bit. Yeah, you got
Yeah.
these fast receivers. You give them just enough air, they'll go run under it and catch it. And not only that, like to be fair, though, one of the things Marcel does well, and there was a couple times in this game he didn't do it as well, but he usually has good misses. Like that's a I hate that miss, but it's a good miss. An underthrown ball when you beat the guys in like a 2-man look or whatever they had there, that look there, that's a pick. So but like so it's not a bad miss, just a little air. And that's what's crazy is our quarterback. And if you look, I don't know if people saw this, but his Pro Football Focus grade was super low this week, like 50 or something. Like which Pro Football Focus, I don't take it as gospel. It's just another data point. It's
Yeah.
just another data point. But grading out wise, I would think as well. Yes, won the game, but like you guys know as well as I do. You can coach really hard off something like this. You can really go after. I mean, like that's what I like about you. Win this game. Now you've got 2 weeks. And those guys, it's a little easier to really grind on a kid after the elation of having this big victory and try to push them really hard these next 2 weeks to get even, better.
Scott used to tell me all the time, it's a lot funner to correct things after a win.
Correct.
So
yeah, and most people out there have the backwards thought about that. They think, oh, yelling and screaming and blah after a loss, and then after a win, it's all donuts in the morning and parties, and that's the complete opposite of how coaching works. Usually, after a hard loss, you got to do everything you can to keep them up. And you got to find positives to build, and you use those to build off of. But now you can really hammer on the negatives and be like,
well,
look here,
and
man.
I watched a deal the other day, and I think I might have mentioned it before. They were, and I forgot who it was talking about Nick Saban. Oh, it was Niffin, or Kiffin at Ole Miss, and
I like Niffin better.
Yeah, I just can't stand him. But anyway, but he was talking about working for Saban, and he was like, man, when I was there, we didn't lose a lot. And he said, man, when we were winning, Saban was ripping them. He was like, man, he was on those kids so hard.
Yep.
And he said, and the few times that we lost, he said, it wasn't many, obviously. He said, but, I would always think, man, Saban's going to really rip these kids. And he said that was the week that Saban was uber positive with them, picking up, hey, man, we're going to get this fixed. We're going to, And so it's funny how people think coaches are and how they, how you actually have to be with that mind game. So.
Yeah.
Well, going on.
It's crazy to imagine. Can just, if you think about it, like take Marcel's career completion rate and put that into this game, and he's going to throw for 450 or more, and we're probably going to score 7 touchdowns. We're going to drop 50 at Notre Dame. Like the scalability off of this is almost scary.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's insane.
Yeah.
So.
But going on to the ugly, and I preached on it and preached on it and preached on it. And I mean, if you think about it, it's really it's a testament to how good this team can get when you think about all the things we didn't do well. We allowed a block punt that they scooped and scored. We threw a pick that they were able to turn into points on their side. Mark brought up through a text message, I'd forgotten about the punt return that they got that put them down around the 30. And so we did some things that weren't great, but the thing that and I've said it before, pre-snap freaking penalties. I can deal with the holding. I can deal with the face mask. I can deal with stuff that happens once the ball's snapped because you're being a competitor and you're just trying hard. I get all that. What I can't stand is you can't stand in your stance long enough to let us snap the daggum ball. Okay? That's your job. Do not move
man.
until we snap the ball. And we had 8. We had 8. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, Mark.
Matt, they,
Yes, sir.
they were complaining that Notre Dame was clapping. And okay, I'll give you 2 then. It's
Yeah,
not the guy's fault if 2 of those happens. But if you
2.
don't have it built in to go to a silent count, then that's on you to get 8.
Yeah.
You need to move to a silent count then.
Yeah, 8 was just driving me insane. But that was my ugly. Seth, what you got for the ugly boss?
And I'll circle back and I'm going to flip this one around a little bit to kind of break some rules here. It's still ugly that we scheduled this game. We still have some questionable, health coming out of it. I'm glad it's over. The rest of the non-con opponents I'm still a little concerned about Arizona State, and anybody can change, right? Like the Notre Dame, when this was scheduled in 2014, is not the Notre Dame right now. But I do say what is not ugly is a non-conference road game to the north. However, I got a list here. Boston College, Northwestern, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Pittsburgh, Rutgers, Syracuse, Northwestern, Michigan State, Purdue. I said Northwestern twice. I really want to play Northwestern. Let's put them on there.
I would too.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's put them because going
Yeah.
north is nice. The temperature is going to drop a little bit. It's most of those places have a pretty nice little campus to walk around on, but none of those programs have the capability in this modern college football world we have of putting a roster on the field that's equivalent to ours. And so let's schedule them. How about them for non-con out of conference?
Northwestern. Yeah, I like that idea. All right. Well, moving over to the defense, and I want to say this before I kick it off to Mark. The defense taking a lot of heat, and yes, there's areas to clean up over there, but it was 40 points scored, and if we don't throw the pick and give them essentially the 3 points right there, and we don't have the block punt, it's 30. And 40 to 30 is a lot different than having to, score with 19 seconds to go. So, but I'll let Mark take the defense here, but I just wanted to say that. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I've watched the film. I put my notes in after watching the film like 2 times, and then I watched the film 3 more times. And so my good that I said in the notes was we got a turnover. We finally got a turnover that really mattered. And we need that. We've got to be better. We were pretty good at that last year, getting turnovers, and we just haven't been great at that this year. And so we got a turnover. It was a big turnover, and there were some key stops. There was the 4th down stuff, and so we got some key stops, which is good. You always have to get key stops. You always have to get turnovers, and that was the good. But I will also say this. Super impressed with our D-line. I'm going to give our D-line a good too, because I have seen so much growth. At the beginning of the year, when you turn the film on the run game, even though we were giving up yards, they were kind of fitting it up where they were supposed to fit it up, right? They were always right. They were in their gap. They were doing a good job, but they have progressed against a better O-line, and now they are understanding when I fit it up what the play is, and they're getting off that block, and they're making plays. You saw that big time in Notre Dame against the best offensive line we've faced so far. And so that just shows what's coming for those guys. And so the D-line is just progressing at a massive level. I'd never thought that I would see some of the stuff that I saw in the film that those guys are doing, like, hey, it's zone away. I fit in my gap. I recognize zone away. I rip off and I tackle the guy, in the play. So it's good stuff. So the good goes there. Any thoughts on that, guys? What y'all saw from as far as what impressed you the most about our defense?
No, our D-line, especially the interior guys, Regis, Hicks, and I don't want to butcher the kid's name, the kid that came from Iowa State.
Yeah.
Those 3 kids played. Hicks, I've been waiting for him to play like that. And it's crazy to me, like you said, Mark, here we are playing without a doubt the biggest, most physical, best offensive line out of the first 3 games. And when Hicks finally shows out and shows what he's capable of doing, it's almost like he's like, okay, now I can show. Now that I've got somebody on my level, I can show it. And those 3 guys in particular, man, they played so well on the interior. Me and Mark had a little disagreement about using our best pass rusher and coverage. But
Yeah. I want to say my good is Sanford coming in a big game. Guy that's
Yeah.
not a starter. He could have transferred
Yep,
out. That kid jumps
that's
off the
right.
tape. Even last year, he jumped off the tape. His athletic ability and like I don't know how you get him on the field
Yeah.
more. If I'm a
I bet
defensive
we
staff,
find a
I'm
way.
figuring it out. Like him and
Yeah.
Scooby are
It's
so
coming.
athletic that they can. Their margin of error is quite large because that's what athleticism does. It creates you a larger margin of error. And no offense to York, it create his margin of error is small because of his athletic ability. He's super savvy, a great kid, works his tail off. But like what Sanford and Scooby have, create them a wide road. And so, like Sanford coming in and making the big sack and just flying all over the field, like that was really cool to see from a kid who finally got his shot in the biggest stage. So
Just so you know, that leads right into my bad.
Okay, go
If
ahead.
you want, so the bad was this was York's worst game as an Aggie ever. Like it's and now not all of it was his fault to me. A lot of it was we put him in some bad schemes and it just looked really bad because the scheme was so bad. He's got big giant guys right on him right now. Now some of it was him. I would say it was about 50-50. Some of it was his tentativeness, and sometimes when you're a defensive player and you're getting smashed on pretty hard in bad scheme situations, it leads you to be a little tentative when you're not. And I think that hurt him. And that was the bad. But again, like you said about Sanford, now, if you go back and turn the film on when Sanford got shots last year, he made a lot of errors. There wasn't enough athleticism on his errors last year to put him on the field. And he has grown so much and understands what to do. Had a big tackle on fourth down. Um, he is good. If I'm just looking at it, one of the problems with getting him on the field, Seth, is Elko has always said that York gets everyone where they're supposed to be. I don't know how Scooby and Sanford are with
yeah,
their mental knowledge of the whole
correct,
defense and getting everybody right.
exactly,
But
right.
if it's 3rd and 8, I want Scooby and Sanford on the field. I mean, that's coming. If I'm going into an off week, that's happening. York, man, I hate that you had this bad game, but we're going to put some packages in for Scooby and Sanford in 3rd down situations, because he's a good blitzer and he's a good cover guy, and he can make plays. Just like Scooby, he's a lot like Scooby in that. Uh, I wouldn't give up on York because I think he'll get better. We saw that last year. He started slow and got better. So I think it'll challenge him as a captain. Watching
That's
film,
what
you
I was
guys
gonna
were talking
say.
about watching.
If I've seen
When
anything out of York the last 3 years, it's that kid takes it personal. It means something to him. And I'm sure he loved getting the win, but he's probably honest with himself. And if I know anything about what I've learned about that kid, he's in there trying to bust down the film and get better. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. Sanford came in a big game, big time, and showed enough to definitely show why he needs to be getting more time on that field. So, um,
Yeah, and
Brown,
so
what
yeah, York
go ahead.
can't lie with the eye in the sky. Don't lie. So
Never
yeah,
does.
he'll see it. The ugly is, look, you give up 40 points, and that's part of it. And obviously, you talked about, I really think there was 17 points in there that cost us. The block punt, the interception, and then the punt return to our 33. And that comes off to, don't forget the highlight you showed of Marcel missing the 3 shot from the end zone. That's where that punt came from. Their punter put us down at the 1. We ran for 2 yards and then tried to throw the big 3 ball, and we don't connect on it, and then we don't make a first down, and then they get the ball at the 33. But that is not an excuse. What you want to see from a championship defense is this. At the end of the game, when it's a tie ball game and you need the ball back to go win it, they drove down the field and scored on us. And that is ugly. That will always be ugly if you're a defensive coach. When you need a stop, you got to be able to get one. You got to be able to force them to a field goal at worst. At worst. and they drove down the field. And there's some reasons why. Um, Seth, if you could pull up the clip, I want to kind of show you what I could talk all day and show you about 15 to 20 clips like this. But and this happens early in the game. This is very early in the game. And it's a second down and long, and we're going to bring a blitz. And they're thinking second and long, we're going to run it. And so they're going to come out with a pretty unique formation, and we've got a blitz called. And I don't know this blitz. I don't understand it. We're going to bring two guys off the edge, and they're going to move these guys over, and they've got a wing and a fullback basically, and they're going to move them up on the line, and they got angles on us because we ran a G on the nose guard all night. That means he's on the inside shade of the guard. And then we've got a 3 technique. So by pulling two guys, our linebackers are toast. And then we've got two guys coming off the edge, and they're not able to make the play in the backfield. And I don't understand the two guys off the edge, even with a wing. Why bring two guys right there? That makes no sense to me. One guy off the edge, the other guy in the B gap. I don't know. That is putting us in a bad situation. There's nothing Scooby or York can do right there. So if you look at the pre-snap, we have spun the backside safety down over here. And he is a gap player, but he's an alley player. And we have a 3 technique on one side and a G on the other. So the G is the inside shade of the guard there on York's side. And then on Scooby's side, he's got a 3 technique. So he's responsible for this A gap. Now we're going to bring a blitz off the edge. Okay. So you have a wing. So that wing creates another gap. So the defensive ends gap is outside the tackle, inside the wing, basically. And then there's a gap outside the wing, which the blitzer will fill. But we bring 2 guys off the edge. So you have 1, 2, 3 guys outside leverage. Do y'all see that? Like there's the tackle, and our defensive end is doing a freaking job on that dude. He has plugged his butt back in the hole. We're not as great on the 3 technique side. York is come down and is filling it. And he is married to Scooby. So he's got to take inside shoulder of this guy. But Scooby has kind of guessed outside, and I don't understand that. He should really be married to him. But even if he's married, they got number 7 to block him, and they got us. They got us by scheme. And these 2 guys they're on the far outside. There's nothing they can do. And I don't understand the 2 guys. And there's over and over, you see us in blitz packages. When we run base defense, and base could be a lot of things. It was the 3 down look we gave them. It is the 2 high safeties, the 1 high safety with man free, the 1 high safety with cover 3.
Doing anything exotic.
Yeah, no exotic. When we run base, this is a pretty good defense. When we run these blitzes that Elko loves to run, we're not good at fitting it up when they have a good play call against it. Does that make sense to you guys? Like sometimes a blitz works because it's 3rd and 8 and you brought a blitz and they were throwing.
Yeah.
But you got to get home. We're not getting home as much. Number one, we don't get home on that situation. And the other thing is they know we're going to bring a blitz because they know who Elko is. So they do something like this and they gash us. And that's what keeps drives alive. And so I would just say, I hope they're doing their self-scout. Matt, you talked about film study. When I was at Carthage, the years I was at Carthage, we won 81% of our ball games. And I can count on my one hand how many times film study the next day was good. I literally used to ask questions when we got done beating somebody 54 to 21. When we got done with the film, I would ask the other coaches, did we win that game? Because we just were so tough on stuff like this. And why are you there? And what is that guy doing? And are we coaching that? Because that was the rule when we started at Carthage. And it was different from every other place I coached. They said, you're either coaching it or you're allowing it
to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And that is on you, and you've got to get it fixed. And if you don't get it fit, and they'll tell you, they told us, if you need to fire a guy to get it fixed, fire a guy to get it fixed. If you need to work more on certain things for that kid to get better, then do that. But you're either allowing it or you're coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. And I think that the off week will help. I will say this about our defense, and I think Elko says it over and over. Those freaking cats play hard. There was no quit on that last drive. They were trying everything they could to get it done. Notre Dame is well coached. I was way impressed with Notre Dame's offensive coaching minds and what they did to scheme us up and how well they executed some of it. And they're good. They're talented. Look, I'm gonna say it right now. 10-2 Notre Dame gets in.
Yeah.
It's
I
over.
think so
Well,
too.
Just don't be
and
mad
Mark,
about it.
yeah, I
Don't
didn't
be
coach
mad about it.
defense. Yeah, I didn't coach defense. I was an offensive guy, but I always thought, from my standpoint, the defense. We had defenses that were tough to go against. Some were underlooks, some were 4-3s. I mean, there wasn't a certain key thing that I thought what made defenses tough to go against was if they were well coached in whatever scheme they were going to run, if they were well coached in that scheme, and just like you said, Mark, if there's 11 guys on that field playing hard, it's hard to beat them. It's hard to beat. Even if you may get them out of position, but if they'll play hard, they'll make it right. They'll make it right through effort and so I agree with you. I think it's way too early to determine that this defense isn't going to be good or whatever. I think in 2012 our defense wasn't. Nobody was necessarily scared of our defense in 2012, but they got better as the season got on. And if you remember the Cotton Bowl, they handled Oklahoma
Dominated.
pretty handily.
Yeah.
Matt, I'll say this. I didn't say anything about our corners because you're not throwing on them, buddy. Nobody's going to hear about it.
Des Ricks,
as good as it.
Yeah,
Des Ricks, you're not going to hear his name. Nobody's going to complete a pass if it's his guy. And I guarantee you this, just watching the tea leaves during the game, Ricks is letting them know, too, every play. Every play, he lets his guy know he's not catching.
Yeah, he's a talker. That's hey, as long as you back it up, I'm all right. I'm all right.
I like my corners to have that swagger.
So, at this point, we're going to do just kind of a breakdown of the different position groups after 3 games because we got the bye. And so I'm going to start off with quarterbacks. I'm going to give our quarterback an A. It'd be an A+ if we could increase the completion percentage, which I think we can do if we get a little bit better with that 3 ball. But his QBR is 160. Let me repeat that. His QBR is 160. And he's averaging 290 yards through the air every game. And that, you can say, oh, we played 2 powder puffs, but his best game through the air was against the best defense he faced. So I don't want to hear that mess. He's got 9 touchdowns through the air to 1 interception. That's a great ratio, ridiculously good ratio. And he's got 11 total touchdowns. If you'd listen to the preseason guys talk, Lagway was going to be awesome. Nussmeier was going to be awesome down at LSU. Sellers was going to be great at South Carolina. You take those 3 guys. But if you take those 3 guys and combine them together, they do not have as many touchdowns as Reed has right now through 3 games. So, and I did the comparison preseason on Howard at Ohio State last year and kind of setting the bar for what a quarterback has to do to win a national title. And right now, all of Reed's statistics are ahead of where Howard was at this point in the year last year. I'm not saying we're going to win the national title. I'm just telling you our quarterback's doing what he needs to do to give us a chance to do something special like that. So I've got him as an A. We increase that completion percentage. I move him up to an A+. Seth, what do you got?
Yeah, same. Passing grade, I'd say it's gonna sound harsh, but it is what it is. Probably a C+ on just pure passing. Like, how good is he throwing the ball right now? But his dog grade, which I don't even care, it's a made up deal. His dog grade's like an A+. I mean, if you could give above 100, I'd give a 105. Like, for his dog grade, that averages out to be about a B+ because there's still meat on the bone. You know what I mean? Like, there's still meat on the bone, which is so awesome to think about. This is not our ceiling. We didn't witness our ceiling Saturday night. So it's like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Mark, I think you can attest to coaching at Carthage and knowing that Surratt's going to put points on the board every game. That sure does make it more comfortable calling defense, doesn't it?
Yeah, when we face tough offenses that were really good, every once in a while you just get a team and like, crap, they're really good. It's like 2 stops a half, boys. We got to get 2 stops a half.
There you go. Moving on to the running back. I've got it as a B. we're averaging 160 yards on the ground, which is not a bad average. But we're doing that with 7 less carries a game than we had last year. I think last year we all agree we kind of leaned on that running game because we knew what we had at receiver and tight end. But the key statistic to me to show that our running backs are still doing their job is per carry. What are they getting per carry? And last year they were averaging 4.8. Right now we're at 4.7. So essentially the same production. And then of course I think I mentioned it before. I absolutely love the 2-back look. I hope we continue to
So great.
utilize that. I don't think that needs to be the only personnel group, obviously, but man, that's hard to defend. So, Seth, what do you got on the running backs, boss?
I go B plus as well, just because there's some little things they did well in that game. Some pass pickup when I was watching the end zone, some pretty good job. I mean, because they're a part. Like we'll get to the O line, and I'll leave that stat alone for now. But they're a part of the pass protection, So I was kind of gonna echo your B, and I was like, I'll throw a plus on it since they did so well in pass pro. But yeah, people are. You gotta realize like how defensive you don't change something overnight. And we played 2 cupcakes, and Notre Dame still came out and said, "You are not going to beat us on the ground." And that's how. I mean, they were loading the box quite frequently, and that's all about to change a little bit. Like at some point, defensive coordinator is going to have to put. Like it's crazy to think we might see this offense face that 3 safety shell defense at some point, but it may happen. And there's going to be a game where some defensive coordinator says, we can't allow these explosives to happen. We just got to keep them in front. And the running backs will probably go for 300 in that game when they start playing us with 4 and 5 man boxes, 6-man boxes, versus
No
11
doubt.
to 12 personnel.
No doubt. O line, I got an A minus. If we'll clean up the stinking penalties, I'll give them an A or A plus. But the penalties are driving me up the wall. The pre-snap penalties.
Yeah.
The positive is we've given up 2 sacks through 3 games. Last year we averaged giving up about 2 sacks a game. So that's a huge improvement there. Like I said, we're still good on the ground, 160 yards a game on the ground. And I agree with you, Seth. I think the longer this season goes on and the more our receivers and tight ends show that we can stretch that field, they're going to have to stop stacking the box. And then Moss and Owens and those guys are going to start having some real big games. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give you the same grade. I looked at Pro Football Focus, 3.31 seconds to throw for Marcel versus Notre Dame from snap to throw. That was the 3rd highest in games played this weekend. So it wasn't like we came in there going, man, their front's good, and we just got to throw quicks and we've got to just get the ball out. We held them off of Marcel incredibly well. Yes, even if we did hold them off a little bit, I don't care. We went 38 quarters without a freaking holding call, so kiss it, you know?
I didn't see nothing. I didn't see nothing.
If you watch it in the speed of the game, I understand why it didn't get called. Speed of the game, when you slow it down, oh, well, look at that. But speed of the game, it just looks like a big pile falling over, Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, it didn't matter. Marcel was already going out of the pocket. Once he saw it, he wasn't catching Marcel, and Marcel let go. It would not have changed the game. I hate to break it to the Irish, and I'm not dealing with Notre Dame again. I went to 3 Cotton Bowls to see A&M play Notre Dame, and I'm not a fan of their fans.
Well, tight end, I've got a B plus. If we can get them a little more involved in the pass game, I think we can move them to an A. They've only got 99 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. So, and I think, like I said, I think the more, just like that last play where they had to go to the tight end because they were bracketing the 2 receivers, I think you're going to see more of that. But I just love our diversity, man. The way we're not just throwing one tight end out there. We're going, we'll go with 11 personnel, but it'll be a different tight end every time. We'll go to 12, we'll go to 13. We even went ugly down on the goal line, which if you don't know what that is, that's just an extra tackle in there. And I love how we're using those tight ends. So, Seth, what do you got on the tight ends?
Can't argue with your grades. I had all the same thing. The B plus is a good one. That one catch Theo made to get us the first down in that last drive, really underrated because, Bokircher's getting all the pub, but man, that was a tough catch. Like he got hammered. The ball was thrown above him. He had to go up and expose himself. And that kid's progress from last year to this year is very, very bussy. Like those are 2 freshmen last year. And like last year, watching him try to block in the Texas game, there were some significant issues there. And like he is a net positive when he's on the field right now. It's really impressive. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then the last one I saved for the end because this is the easiest one is our wide receiver. That's an A plus. I don't know, as good as we thought Casey and Craver were. I don't think any of us thought they were gonna. I mean, they're amazing. I can't imagine what Wiggins must have thought when he came from Alabama and the guys he had to coach there, and then he got here last year and he's like, "What in the world am I working with?" And he went out and found some dogs, as you like to say, Seth. Obviously, Craver's leading the nation in receiving yards. Casey is right outside the top 10 in receiving yards, and the only reason he's not is because everybody, just like we did, we thought Casey was the prize-winning win in the transfer deal, which he is. So they left Craver alone, and Craver's made him pay for it. So I'm pretty sure Casey will be climbing that ladder as the coverages start figuring out what they're going to try to do with two guys of that caliber. And I stole this from Ryan Broninger off Texags. He put it on Twitter, but just to give you an idea, so the two receivers, Casey and Craver, have combined for 33 receptions, 670 yards, and 7 TDs in 3 games. The two guys that transferred out, Noah Thomas and the kid that went to Cincinnati, they have 15 catches, less than half, 169 yards. That's like, I don't know, 20% maybe of what we have, and 3 touchdowns. So the leap in that room is ridiculously good. Huge A plus. I'm like you. If I could give extra points, we'd go A plus plus plus. So, what you got there, Seth?
yeah, A plus all the way. I make a joke about how in a lot of group messages where I talk some ball with folks, I hate receivers. That's one of my underlying jokes is like, you guys, because they're always like, oh, receiver.
Prima
I'm like,
donnas. They
guys,
are.
listen, if I was in control, y'all would hate our offense. It would be 13 and ugly. That'd be our base formations. 23 personnel and 32 personnel base formations. I hate
I would hate
receivers because they are the biggest prima donnas. They're the biggest
They are.
culture dragger downers. You know what I mean?
They
I don't know
can
a
be.
better word for it. And so, but they can totally flip it too because like KC comes in here and people I talk to say he is the vocal leader of the skill kids on offense. Like, Marcel's the quarterback, but Marcel's not the loudest kid on the planet. They say KC is the one who comes in and tells everybody how it's going to be and ain't doing it like, a me first mentality. It's like, we're going to go grind
No,
and we're going to go win.
Look
So
at the highlight I put up of him blocking that
that's
kid
right.
down on the goal line. That's
Yeah.
crazy for
And
your star receiver. That's so awesome.
And like you can tell like the culture changes are happening because I think one of the easiest data points, if you're not a ball knower and one of the easiest data points you can watch for about a team's culture is the receiver blocking. That is the most vibrant out there to watch thing. You think about the 2012 team, they had a pretty good culture in that locker room. So it's like that is one of the biggest data points you can see. Say, and I kind of, you look back on some of the stuff that transpired. I give Coach Holman Wiggins credit. Like he said, this is a personnel issue. I'm going to go fix it. And he did. And then I give Coach Perry and Coach Wiggins credit because they also fixed the coaching. Our receivers looked well coached. They look so well coached now. That old quote about Saban. Go ahead, Mark. Yeah.
I was going to say one of the things that's not mentioned in all of the y'all's talk about the receivers is Terry Bussey. And he doesn't get a lot of chances, but his routes are better. His
good.
Getting open is better. When they do go to him, he's just so consistent. And so that's a lot of growth from a guy that was a true freshman from Timpson, America. And it says a lot about the room.
Hey, how scared are you if you're a secondary coach? If you're a secondary coach at Auburn or Mississippi State, wherever you want, and you're like, okay, Craver, KC, I got to worry about those guys. But then you see Bussey bust that kickoff return. It got called back, but it dang sure showed off that speed. So now you're going, oh, crap.
Mm-hmm.
So
look, just remember, coaches are never scared. Coaches are never scared. I can get a whiteboard like Seth, and we'll draw exactly how we're going to stop all that crap.
But yeah. So yeah, that old quote about Saban comes to mind about mediocre people don't like high achievers because the whispers, not whisperers, but the rumors I heard about spring ball was that spring practice would happen. Coach Elko would call everybody up. Everybody have their listen to Coach Elko. They'd break, and then Concepcion would tell all the receivers, "Put your cleats back on." we're going back in here. And they would catch hundreds more balls off the jugs machine. Or if the quarterbacks could throw, they would pull a quarterback out there and just grind. And it wasn't once, it was every practice. And this guy just came in and completely flipped the culture of the room too. And I really think that might be why we had that one kid transfer in and then transfer back out, because not only did he think, this is going to be a lot of work, he was like, I don't know, I'm even get on the field. You know what I mean?
Are you
Like,
talking about? Are you talking about the kid up there in Tumbleweed Land? I think he's got 4
that's it.
catches on the year so far.
That's
Yeah,
it.
he's not doing
So,
anything up there.
mediocre people and high achievers, right? The Saban quote that popped into my head when I thought about that. I was like, I don't think that. I mean, I know the narrative behind the transfer, psychological. I think it ultimately came down to this Concepcion guy's going to make me get all these thousands of reps. I'm ready to go home. So, anyway,
Seth, I will say this. I was just gonna say about the culture of the team and it being a whole thing. Think about Concepcion, or was it Bussey's return, where the Smith kid, Emmett Smith's son, blocked 3 guys and is running down the field, and the last
Punt
guy is just having to
return, yep.
throw his back in front of him.
high IQ block too. Yeah,
That guy, the 4-string running back, and it's his last chance, and he's
Yep.
still doing that. That says
Yeah,
a
no
lot
doubt.
about team culture from
It
top
does.
to bottom.
It really does. And I love the quote about mediocre people and hired, because I've had that conversation with people here recently about that exact thing, and so I appreciate that. All right, Mark, tell us about your grades for your defense here.
Well, I've gone back and rethought it because I keep watching the film. I just can't stop watching this game. I still have, y'all, just so you know, I have the 88 Cotton Bowl on VHS, and I watched it so many times that the plastic broke, and I went and bought another movie and popped it open and put that film over in it. So I still have the 88 Cotton Bowl on VHS. I love when we beat Notre Dame.
You
It's
know
a great
you can pull
thing.
it up on YouTube. You know you can pull up on YouTube.
I got a VHS machine. It's okay. I can live where I want to live, you know. The 80s were the greatest decade of all time. So anyway, I will just say on my grades, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to give everybody on the defense, and I'll explain some more, but I'm going to give every position a C except for the corners. The corners have an A right now, but they're the only ones playing at the level that everybody else needs to play at for us to win a championship, or at least have a chance to win a championship. On the D-line, here's why I'm going to give them a C, even though the interior guys against Notre Dame get an A, right? But that doesn't mean that's their average. That was one test score. They've done a good job in there, but they have got to be better at getting to the quarterback in 4 down. And when you're in 4 down and it's 3rd and 8 and you don't bring a blitz, and they use 5 guys to protect, so it's 5 versus 4. One guy's getting doubled and everybody else is singled up. So in that kind of situation, you got to have 3 guys that can win, and they've got to win more. They've got to win more on run game, especially the defensive ends. They've got to be in their gap sound places when we bring blitzes. They can't get knocked out of that gap. If they've got to get there. We did stunt them more than I've seen Elko do, and it paid off big. Now, it hurt us a couple of times, but that happens when you stun them. But I think that Elko's kind of starting to figure them out, but I'm going to give them a C. Linebacker, again, we talked about Sanford and Scooby, and they're doing some great things. Scooby gets lost sometimes, like on that double lead with the wing and the fullback, and they kicked out on everybody. York immediately fits it up, and he knows he's married, and if he's fitting up a guy that's pulling up in there, he knows how to fit it up. And Scooby just looked lost, like he didn't know exactly where he should be, and he should have just taken 1 step to his left laterally, seen the puller, and gone downhill. I mean, they still had us blocked, but that's where he should have been. So overall, I'll give our linebackers a C. They just need to do better than they've been, especially York. He's got a lot to do now. And they've got to be better at dealing with O-linemen coming at them. Look, you want to play at A&M? That A&M should be a stepping stone to the NFL. From Johnny Holland to Dat Wynn to, you name it, to the guy that's at Green Bay right now, who's the best linebacker in the NFL, who just came from
Adrian
A&M.
Cooper, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Edgerrin Cooper. So you talk about the A&M should have linebackers that are stepping stones to the NFL. Well, if you're going to go play in the NFL, if a college offensive lineman comes at you, you ought to be able to fit him up and shed him and still go make plays. And we're not doing that well. It sucks when an offensive lineman has a clean shot at you. It sucks. I get it. Well, you know what? Life sucks. Fit him up, get off of it in the right spot, and go be a part of the freaking tackle.
That's
The
right.
corner, Will Lee led us in solo tackles this week against Notre Dame. That's an insult if you're a linebacker.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I've heard coaches embarrass kids over not by having somebody else have more solo tackles than them. Like, I don't even want to say what some of those coaches said to kids. I wouldn't have done it, but so I'm going to give them a C. They got a lot of work to do. The secondary overall gets a C because our corners have an A, and right now our safeties are doing some great things, and then they're doing some oh my god things. I mean, it's literally
Yes.
like one play they're right
It's
where they're
Jacqueline
supposed to
Hyde.
be. They
Yeah.
make
It's
phenomenal, especially Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe is I like that kid, man. I really like that kid. That kid can play. He reminds me of the guy that's with the Cowboys right now. What is it, Wilson?
yeah,
That
Donovan
played at
Wilson.
A&M.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
he reminds me of Donovan Wilson. The other guys, you know, they gassed us one time, and I think Matt, you said something about it. You were like, "Where's our force player?" Well, it was a spin down safety, and he didn't spin down quick enough, so he's late. Look, if you have to spin down in a cover 3 look where you're spinning and you're the force guy to that side of the field, now the defensive end sold him out. The defensive end sold him out. He got reached, but it's going to happen at times. Go make a play, stop him for a 4-yard gain, and he was late spinning down, and I don't know why he was late spinning down. I'm assuming, and this is what I don't know by not being in the room, he was not the man free guy. I'm assuming that he was a spin down guy because he kind of starts to right at the beginning of the play, and then they snap it, and then he doesn't even make contact until 8 yards. So I'm going to give our secondary a C also.
For the record, I knew who the force player was. I was wondering why he wasn't there.
Yeah, and Elko puts force players in different positions. And so it's a unique thing on defense, and I could go speak at the A&M clinic this year on how to use different people as force players and where you bring them from, and how sometimes those force players are what I call a soft force player. They're really more pass defense, and they're force if they have to be. So there's a lot of
there's essentially a
nuances
secondary
there.
force player. Yeah.
Yeah, but a spin down cover 3 guy is a freaking force guy. That's a hard force.
Right.
There's
It is.
other ways to show
Yeah.
you what a smart force looks like.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm going to go C across the board for our defense right now, except for our corners. They get an A.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna pick our MVP of the season so far. Mine's the easiest one. I go first, so I'm gonna pick the easiest one. Craver is my MVP. I mean, 443 yards receiving, and I should have looked it up. The craziest part, and we hadn't talked about it, is yards after catch, the yak. That's where we're so much different. I mean, we're different just getting open for sure, but that drive in the fourth quarter to go down there and score, his catch and run for another 20, 30 yards, whatever it was, after he actually got his hands on the ball. We didn't have anybody last year doing that. I had nobody that could do that. So, Craver's mine. He was the biggest in the biggest game of the year so far. So, Mark, who do you got for your player of the season so far, your MVP?
Look, I'm a defensive guy, and I really should, pick a defensive guy, but I'm going to tell you right now, the reason we're 3-0 is Marcel Reed. Period. It's great that we have Concepcion. It's great that we have Craver. It's great that we got Terry Bussey, and those guys are difference makers. But our offense lives and dies off Marcel Reed and what he can do. We saw it last year. Put Wegman out there with some great running backs. How'd that look? It looked like crap. Marcel Reed is the difference maker. That throw he made on 4th down, he's flush from the pocket, and he has to throw the ball in the right spot on the run before the guy even knows he's throwing it to him, and he put it on the dime, bam, touchdown, and he's a dog. He's just the guy. Quit running quarterback sweep, for God's sake. Don't do that anymore. I get the zone read
Seconded.
stuff. I get the
Yeah.
draw lead, but that quarterback, look, you got 900 running backs at A&M. Put 2 of them in the backfield and run quarterback sweep. You get, run regular
Yeah.
sweep
Yeah.
and you get the same numbers.
Yeah.
Quit.
Yeah.
Don't do that to her. I don't want to see Marcel Reed on the turf again where he looks like he's in pain. He's going to
No.
get up and he's going to play, but stop doing that. So Marcel Reed, love the guy. He's bailed us out before. He's only going to get better. The 3 ball is going to click someday, and he could win the Heisman if it clicks soon.
Yeah. Seth, who's your MVP so far?
I gotta give it a tie. I got a tie. It's Concepcion because of what he's brought to the skill kid side of the offense. I mean, it's great when your offensive linemen are leaders, but you really need a skill kid to take that lineman approach to things, and that's what Concepcion seems like he is to me. And so then I got to give credit for Holman Wiggins got him in here, like Holman Wiggins got him in here. So Klein and Wiggins, I think, are our most valuable a part of that, a most valuable player equation as well with their change, with Klein's changes to the offense, Wiggins getting Concepcion in here. It set off a chain reaction to where we are now, all those things. And Concepcion doing what he's done with the receiver room. And now when he's gone next year, those young receivers, the bar has been set and the roadmap has been laid out for them. This is how you do it. And so that's why I think he's so valuable to the offense, because I don't think we had that guy on offense last year. We didn't have that Reed's a dog. We didn't have that guy that was given the hardest ones to get the message across to the receiver room, giving them the roadmap on what it takes, like Elko's mentality and stuff, the grind or all that. So
no,
I
I think the guy that was leading that room is in Georgia right now and having a tough time being a dog there too.
I got a couple of graphics to throw up here. All right, first, so one of them is the explosive play graphic. Let me get it shared here. Oh wait, how'd that get in here? What is that? What is that? How did that get in here? Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
This is UTEP versus
ouch.
Utah State and UTEP versus Texas. Who put that in here? That's incredible.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Look at this
Uncle
I won't say much if I
Rico.
just look at the numbers.
Uncle Rico only threw for 114 yards against UTEP? Come on,
Look,
Well,
man.
UTEP's passing secondary is probably a little bit better than Notre Dame's based on some of the stuff I've read. So, yeah.
Let me just tell you something. Those guys over there in that little bitty town in the middle of Texas that just is an embarrassment to the rest of Texas, it has that little college there. All I heard last year on their big run is how much they hated their quarterback, and they had another
Yeah, but they wish they had him back right about now.
Y'all, they're crying for him now. I mean, did they not realize that this guy is not Eli or Peyton's son? He's the other guy's son.
Yeah.
Like, calm down, people.
It's like, I mean, I just think that, like, literally, if he was better than Quinn, he would have started last year. Like, that would have happened. And that always stuck. I mean, if you just watch film and like coaches at this level aren't playing politics like it's a 2A school with the school where president's son or something. And I don't even think that goes on there much either. Way less than anybody thinks. Most coaches have they don't give a rip whose kid is who. It's about, let's go win some games. My life's on the line here. My career's on the line. So, all right, my real graphic, the explosive plays update. That's on the left is our offensive plays of 20 yards or more. What we've got on the right is defensive plays allowed of 20 yards or more. And that pretty much tells the story right now. It is what it is. We were at the bottom of both of these last year, so progress is progress. Here's my net explosive plays graphic, which you just subtract them out and say which team is doing the best in both worlds, and you can see, man, what a microcosm of what we see in the conference so far, right? I know Missouri has, they beat Kansas, but I don't know how much but Arkansas shockingly really good all of a sudden. We know Petrino can create some explosive plays. He's been doing it forever.
He can draw it up.
Yeah, he can create some explosives. And Taylor Green's a seasoned quarterback. Yeah. So anyway, but this is better because last year, if you remember how we finished the year, we were down there about where South Carolina and Auburn are on the ratio. We were in the bottom 3 when it comes to that. I thought I'd also like to pull up my preseason graphic I made about the schedule. There's been some shakeup on it, and I tried to put arrows there to indicate it. The 6 in the middle that I was kind of saying, these are the ones that got to win, should win, and make or break. They haven't changed, but they've shuffled around, if that makes sense. Like, to me, The Florida and the South Carolina games at home, those have turned into gotta wins, in my opinion.
Yep.
I mean, like that's
Yep.
and then the at Mizzou still gives me some pause. It's a should win. Mississippi State, we should out roster them. That's a should win. And now I think make or break is Auburn and Arkansas, just because we haven't played at Arkansas in over a decade. And I almost wish it was at Jerry World again this year, even though I hate neutral site college football games. But in this particular instant, I was like, I really wish that was still at Jerry World. I still don't think the old boy categories or the cupcakes has changed. So what's up, Coach?
Hey, Seth, I do.
Okay.
Just based on the first graphic you showed, the community college in Central Texas needs to be a make or break game to me.
I think so too. I mean, I didn't want to move it because it's at Texas and we got a long way to go. I think I need some more data before I move that one. But I do think the 6 in the middle are the same. We've just shuffled places with some of those teams and how they look. So
yeah. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in. Not sure we'll get the same views we got with RC. That was a great time having him on. But great insight from everybody, and appreciate everybody, and enjoy the bye week. I'm gonna be watching that Oklahoma Auburn game. I'm interested to see how that goes and give us some insight for next week's game. But this is Trace Amigos signing out. Gig 'em and thanks.
Gig 'em.
Tracy Amigos, former football coaches turned insurance agents, talk about Texas Aggie football.